Well, am I recording? I'll check on it. I don't know. It's the iPad's getting so old, and I gotta keep it plugged in or it shuts itself off. So I don't know what that means. I have no idea. Not into microelectronics, kinda. Hmm. So I played around with it. But microelectronics to me is transistors. But anyway, it's moving along, bumping along. So today I was quite busy arranging some of the electronics here, as well as working on a couple of pieces. So I'd like to thank the Tesla Society, I believe New York or Belzeg, for the donation, which Nancy will pick up. Oh, in a day or two. It's just so many things going on these days, so I appreciate that. That's very kind, and I will send you the information. Luckily, I did a lot of research on that situation with Thomas Lee Richardson, Tesla's friend, who I met in Vancouver a long time ago. And Thomas published a book as well as did other things. He had a house full of papers and documents. I have a few documents, but they're mostly what Thomas has written, like Oh Canada. Thomas was very old when I met him in the 80s, and he used to hang out at the lab a little bit. And he said it reminded him of a long time ago when he was with Tesla. According to Thomas Lee Richardson, also this could be backed up by Jack Webster, a radio show host, that Thomas would phone in or be a guest on the show, and Thomas actually recorded all the tapes on tape, audio tape. Jack Webster. And I did get a notification on Vancouver Public Library about it, about Tesla stuff, and Thomas Richardson. I'll send you the link. There's also another person involved, Lawrence St. Ives in San Francisco. This is going back in time. This is in the 80s. I have his phone number and information. Dr. White was investigating that whole situation because with Lawrence St. Ives, his great aunt, secretary to Tesla, passed away and had an auction, and the papers left the house, or the auction went off somewhere, and he was on a search for those papers. I have that information as well. I wrote it up. Like most people don't take me serious because they look at these videos and think, oh, he's crazy on loon, you know? Which I am. I mean, I enjoy being silly and crazy. Although I don't do that too much in public, but I do it on YouTube. It's, you never know who's watching and who cares anyway. So, you want to check out also. I'll send you the link right away when I upload tonight. The new scientist who's very public is Bob Greener of Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project. I'll send you the link to his YouTube channel. You might already be watching that. I don't know, but it's an interesting. He's an interesting person. I met him a few times, and also he's very brilliant and he's very dedicated to what he's doing. Unfortunately, the scientists I knew, most of them are gone, passed away. Like Ken Shoulder, Dr. Rusher, and many others. Colonel Alexander's still around. Jack Houg's gone. Geez, so many people gone. It's sad. There's a new generation of young people that are trying to do it. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. So I got involved with Tesla about 1979, I think. I was fascinated by his books, which were given to me by somebody else. Colorado Spring Notes, as well as his autobiography thing. I got involved in that really heavily, along with Steinmetz, but it sort of progressed on. I've always been interested in scientists, and like Einstein as a kid, I draw out his cosmological models and that kind of stuff. just for the hell of it. But so I got involved with the Tesla stuff. Got some weird results going on, which people call the Hutchison effect. That was named later, but it was stuff with levitating. There's a picture of a pistol levitating and a metal can and some other stuff that was Mel Winfield took photos of it all. I met Mel accidentally with friend Billy Ross. We went to his Aquarian Universology Institute and listened to his lectures. And I think it was Bill Ross, myself, and somebody else was there. It was on Davie Street. I went in there, and because Billy Ross is interested in that kind of stuff, so I went in there with Billy Ross, and we listened to the conversation that Mel Winfield had. And after that, because it touched upon something, and I said it's like electricity or something, like levitating, and started asking me questions. And I said, well, I studied Tesla, and I'm getting weird things going on in where I live. I don't know if it's just one of those electrical things, I think. And Mel was very interested in what I was doing, and he said, can I come and look at it? And I said, sure. So Mel came and looked at it. He brought a camera. I turned on the gear, and as usual, waited quite a while, and he said, nothing's happening, as he said. Then a little later on, things started floating in the air, and I had a target area with I believe, a German Luger, old German pistol, books and metal and things, and he filmed it, took pictures of it, and I think he's going to get a video camera. So we did all that. He's very excited, and then I was with Billy Ross too at the time, and Billy said, I don't know what's he. You never know with people; they act funny sometimes. I said, and I thought, oh well, who cares? And we went on to doing other things. Then later on, a phone call came in to Mrs. Murphy's, 1458 East 29th Street, London Valley, North Vancouver. It was Mel. He said, well, I want to come over again, and I said, oh, okay. And then he came over, took pictures, took a few samples, and wanted me to have an agreement with him, which is still around somewhere, and it's on the internet somewhere. And so I said, oh, sure, okay, I don't care. I really don't. Then around the same time, a CBC news person showed up and filmed something, and he got kind of panicked and ran out the door, and I never heard from him. I forget his name. Was it Brent? Well, that was... Ooh, it's got a bit of a cut here, but that's okay. Brent, I think he wrote something up, or I don't know. It's a long time ago. So my parents would always go on vacation, and they'd always have me and Billy Ross look after the house, So we do that. We did our funny stuff we like doing. 3045 Crescent View Drive, North Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. My mother and dad went off to Acapulco for a vacation, and it was about a month long, and Bill Ross and I had the house, so let's look after it. We did that. And, well, guess who showed up? I guess because I gave him the address or phone number or something. Mel Winfield. I think he phoned, or Mrs. Murphy phoned me, and I had to return the call to Mel, and I'm going to bring somebody over, and said, oh, okay, it's 304 Background View Drive, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, he brought Alex Pizzaro over, who later became partners with and was George Hathaway. So Anyway, they're sitting there and they're talking to me for at least Pizarro was for at least an hour or 2 hours or something like that. I said, I'm not a scientist, I'm just an idiot, you know, I'm on welfare, blah, 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 which I am. And that kind of stuff. It's not like a lot of interest. I mean, it's interesting. I've always been interested in radio and stuff like that. So, and weird energies and spark gaps and Edison and Ben Franklin. Anyway, so he went on and on. He said, I'll get back to you. So they left. Then my parents returned, and I think I was in the house for a couple of weeks before when Pizarro showed up or something, or Winfield. And then I went back to Lynn Valley, and Pizarro would show up with cameras and gave me a camera too. Super 8mm film. I said, whatever, you know, I don't know, but I film stuff. I fine tuned it more. I thought somebody's interested in it, I guess. I don't know why, but they are. It's just like a weird electrical effect, I thought back then anyway. So anyway, then Pizarro said, I'm going to a congress. I'm taking Mel Winfield to a congress in Toronto. Okay, so that happened. I'd never been to a congress, but I went to a congress. First International Congress on Unconventional Energy, something like that. So time passed, and Pizarro shows up again and asks me certain questions. And he said, oh, does Mel pay you well? And I said, no, he's just somebody that showed up one day. Like, well, whose place is this? Whose lab is this? Whose equipment is this? It's mine. I got it from different sources over the years. I mean, I built my own here. Look at this. It's destructive discharge transformer, Tesla coils, stuff I got from RP Electronics on Main Street, Satellite Electronics on Main Street, and other places, the Ham Shack on Granville Street, plus Chaos Mod electrical machinery and all this and that. And he said, what? Alex said, what? I said, no, Mel's just somebody that showed up and wanted to film stuff and take pictures. And oddly enough, Mel Winfield's going to arrive that day as with Pizarro, because they're kind of like partners. I don't know if they signed any agreements or anything, but they Mel gave his lecture at the first International Symposium of Energy. So, Mel shows up. Something just popped in my mind. I had a vibration detection device running at the same time when Mel showed up, and it ticked it off. I wanted to show Mel that, and Pizarro didn't say anything. Then Pizarro said to Mel, John informed me this is his private stuff he's had for years. Something like that. Oh, Mel would talk in a deep voice. Mel, this is not right. You've been taking advantage of John and all blah blah blah, you know, and this and that. And Mel just did a big huff and walked out the door. Pizarro said, "You never told anybody." He said, "Why would I want to tell anybody? What's the big deal?" I said, "I don't know." So Pizarro was pretty upset and contacted George Hathaway, and George Hathaway, who I haven't met yet, said, "I don't know who he is." Later on, I learned that George eliminated all the stuff that Mel was talking about at the Congress, and Pizarro then wanted me to take a plane ride too. I'm trying to remember if George Hathaway showed up. 82, 80. I don't know. I think he did. But then later, Pizarro wanted me to go by aircraft to George Hathaway's home, which I did do. My first adventures on an airplane. Wow, it was fun. No, I'm not kidding. It was a lot of fun. I didn't know what to expect. Jeez, Willikers, this is a big thing, This is something new. This is, whoa. Flight attendants saw that I was kind of nervous and sat down next to me. Anyway, it took off and I went in the air and this is amazing stuff. I wound up at Toronto and got lost in George Hathaway's family. I had a lot of fun staying with George. I met his dad, Norm Hathaway, and they showed me around, and George showed me his lab and all this stuff, and they later on approached me with an agreement type thing, and I said, I don't understand. I think R. Flynn Marr, my lawyer, who's going to visit me here some days, did take care of it for me. But anyway, I went on and gave more of those demonstrations. I gotta get with it here. Some was people would show up from Rand Corporation. I think it was Rand or SAIC. I forget their names, but Felipe Galuppi showed up, head of Hypertronics Power Transformers, Brewster, New York. That was interesting. There was some metals that blew apart. Kind of scared me again, but George got it on film. Levitation stuff. And yeah, I know I got a little cut here, but messy stuff. But yeah, so anyway, flying back, George gave me, I still have it too. It's a unique direction finder unit. And some tools I think he shipped it to me. The tools I had in the briefcase carried as carry-on luggage. And those days you could do that. Not anymore, I don't think. How the time marched on. Pizarro and Hathaway gave a presentation to the U.S. government folks in the Pentagon, I believe, may be wrong, or somewhere, someplace. And Ronald Reagan, I think, heard of it. I'm told this. I don't know. Hence birthed the SDIO program, Star Wars program. So I gave my demonstrations to Los Alamos, to Colonel Alexander, Alex Pizarro, and others in that building, 141 Riverside Drive, North Vancouver, British Columbia. Things happen, but they're out of the range of the camera, and sometimes they would go weird, like piece of a molybdenum rod they use in a nuclear reactor thing went funny. But Los Alamos, after some weeks, just left, and then I moved to 3744 East Hastings Street with the help of Stan, who was Thomas Lee Richardson's basically caretaker, Stan Regic works for Hammock Salvage, by the way. Stan and I would do our weird experiments together and go scrapyard hunting. We rented a room rented the 3744 East Hastings building. It was Stan and myself, and we go nighttime scrounging for metals to do that. So anyway, as I progressed along in my building these labs all the time, it usually takes a long time, but in Vancouver the surplus was everywhere and they didn't want it. There's free stuff too. Up to 56 kVA transformer. Big Red, I called it. Then other people come around. There's contractors for the military came around through Brian Borodell, Executive Limousine Service. He'd bring these contractors and they'd pay money. They just said, here's $100. That was fantastic. So that went on for a while. Then I had a contact at BCTV News, and that was Tony Parsons and Alan Edwards. They decided to do a feature 6 o'clock news story on me, and luckily they were lucky to get levitation going. There was nice slow levitation and other things happening in the target area. So that was awesome stuff. Then Grant Fredericks of CKVU TV showed up, filmed stuff levitating. Then CBC, and then from then on it leaked out into the world, and so many different people came and gone from doing shows and that, TV shows, and that. There was a movie proposals too, and Maximilian Motion Pictures came out. You know, TV people say things, and sometimes it happens, sometimes don't. You gotta expect that. But anyway, getting back to all of this stuff, I guess, because I have other interests besides this electrical things, machine tools and vintage this and that, old cannons, firearms, guns, stuff like that, and anything weird, you know. But anyway, getting back to the topic. So, knowing Thomas Lee Richardson, he would talk about Tesla and all the things. He had books on Tesla. He wrote books on Tesla. He had Tesla artifacts. His house was entirely full of Tesla stuff. I know it was original because I'm into old stuff. And then, unfortunately, Thomas passed away. The house was locked up by the provincial government of British Columbia. And then Steve Turner, another friend of Thomas Lee Richardson, Stan, myself, and I think there's some other person, were trying to save all the Tesla stuff. But they said, no, we can't do that. We can't let you in. We got to find if there's any relatives that Thomas Lee Richardson had. It was Cantor Realty that was working with us on Granville Street at the time. And they said, no, they found somebody in the United Kingdom. So all the stuff that was in Thomas's house was shipped to the United Kingdom. And Tesla wasn't in vogue like he is now then, so a lot of that stuff might have got thrown out in the garbage. Just like it was Lawrence St. Ives and all the Tesla stuff was auctioned off, and a lot of stuff just winds up in the trash, as he wasn't popular then. But anyway, so that's some of the Tesla stuff I got involved with. So that led on to McDonnell Douglas and many TV shows. See, most people think I'm nuts because I do videos like this, you know. But I don't act this silly out in in the real world. That's, you know, they just think I'm crazy. John's gone nuts, or John burned his brain out, or the government got me, or some other crazy thing, you know. But it's just the way I am. I've always been this way. I got pictures and videos and my dad took and all that, so it's just private, you know, in here, and who cares, you know. But a TV show, people won't let me do it. They just sort of say, oh, well, you know, this is the format, blah, 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 this is the lighting, we want you to dress like this and do that. Okay, sure. I think I would have got out, no, I don't think. The Ark of the Covenant Revealed was a 1 hour TLC Discovery Channel thing that I was part co-producer of. So that was a lot of fun doing that. It's getting popular for some reason. One of those sleeping TV shows that just suddenly takes off. I have other ones that haven't aired yet. They're done, but they haven't aired yet. Polar Shift Film Productions, working with Paul and the announcer guy who wrote an article on it. Oh, yeah, I forgot his name. But he wrote an article on what he saw in my place, and that amazed him so much that he had to write an article, and it was 2007. Last TV stuff, big TV stuff, was with Jesse Ventura. It's called Death Ray. And most of these TV shows have a slant too. So Death Ray was about Star Wars and the Twin Towers and all that nonsense. So no, I just do the show, do my stuff, and get on to the next show, which was with Richard Surrett of coasttocoastam.com at my place actually. And he filmed everything, and that was 2017, I think. What he did with all that stuff, I don't know, but he got us on. We're on coasttocoastam.com. But no, I show him a number of times with Art Bell and others. German scientists filmed a lot of stuff. Japanese scientists as well replicated my lab in Hiroshima City. I got tons of videos on it because everybody gave me the videos in Hiroshima, Japan, and Germany, and Austria. There's articles in Esquire magazine on what I'm doing, and Roland Brito is one of my sponsors, along with Dr. Peter Kokoschnik was a sponsor. Lived at his house for over 2 years. Other stuff, I don't know. So, again, I appreciate the donation. I'll get that info to you tonight and see what you've written me tonight. And I'll send you the links to Bob Greener's stuff. He's analyzed some of the samples, as well as Hathaway and others. I think Dr. Rusher did. Ken Schollers has samples. Most of the scientists I know have the samples, and unfortunately, a lot of them have passed away, like Thomas Beard, and one of them had a stroke. Dr. Robert Kuntz, who gave me a letter of recommendation. Also, I was recommended by Thomas Beard to the SBIR program, Small Business Innovative Program, SDO, Star Wars Initiative Program. I was on that since '83 to 2005. Where the government of USA would mail me documents on their latest discoveries and findings and stuff, and I should submit mine, which I did do, to Dr. Bud Durant. But it was not accepted because of I did the paperwork wrong. You got to fill out all these different things and this and that. I think I sent 2 into DTIC. But I know they know it because when they send the emails or phone me sometimes. I learned about the Navy Department. I learned about it's so cold to freeze the balls off a brass monkey, and that was a Navy guy. And the Air Force guy, Peter, and that's all I'll say. And no names, I keep saying that. No, I'm not going to mention names. Anyway, and still, to this day, sometimes I'll get a email like, how's it going? Anything yet? I said, no, but getting there, slow, I'm slowly getting there. And today I was working my little ass off. I moved some gear around and repairing all kinds of things. So I got a lot of energy for some reason. Geez, I must have. I lifted a 100-pound piece over my head and put it on a shelf. I did a separate video on my arrangement of stuff. Let's go. It's just like in the apartment, I do the same stuff, How do you get it up there? So, but it's all fun. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Good exercise and love repairing and learning stuff all the time. Oh, we're getting a little stiff, am I? Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh well. Yeah, I did a lot of work all for 8 hours. I think moved all that stuff over there and doing repairs on something here. I could turn this around and show you what I just finished doing. I think it's around 4:30 or something like that. Fellow and that fellow too. This is very old, based on a lot of Tesla stuff. Resonance and that. It's about a kilowatt output. So it just needs minor repair and it's going to be running again. I got all high voltage supplies for it and everything, so it'll put out a kilowatt of Around 140 meters bandwidth, that kind of thing. No, I won't be I won't be using it for communication, just for experimental purposes. Because most of my stuff is RF, electrostatic, direct current, mm, high voltage direct current pulse generator, and RF and magnetic pulse generated fields like magnetic amplifiers, which simply puts a unique pattern in a special coil arrangement used in traveling wave tubes, by the way. So I have those. It's all a matter of setting it all up. I have always have had a radioactive source of this ordinary uranium ore. It was a great interest to Dr. Wilson of DREP, Defense Region Established Pacifica. He knew that something was going on with the atomic stuff, and Dr. Kuhn disagreed. I said, I don't know. And then Dr. Loken was there, and then this is the Canadian government folks in 1986 that showed up, filmed everything, and wrote a report and sent me some pictures and their letters. And good people. It was, I think, only one day. I was with George Hathaway at the time. 86, March 86. Then McDonnell Douglas, 2 days. Then Dr. Ludwig, and many others. And it's been an interesting time. So I'm going to check the time and just looking at my little cut here, which I'll clean up. Okay, so again, many thanks for the donation, most appreciated. And thank you others for your small donations. And doesn't matter how big it is, it's the thought that counts. On that note, I should get going, I suppose. I suppose it's around 5 bells. I think so. Anyway, I got to get rolling really hot. I always like acting silly. Okay, sending links.